David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. When I was starting out in this hobby, the biggest question I had at the time was trying to figure out what pen to buy. There were so many out there to choose from, and I didn't want to make a poor decision. So I watched and read tons of reviews. I especially read a lot of like top 5 and top 10 lists of best entry-level pens. If a particular pen showed up on many of those lists, then I felt the chances were pretty good that it was a quality pen. Today, I will be taking a look at a slightly more expensive variant of a pen which shows up on a lot of those top 10 lists, including my own. The pen is from Kaweco, and the model I will be showing you today is the AL Sport. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of the AL Sport, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. Thanks go out to the good folks at Pen Chalet for providing this pen for review and to give away to one of you. Stay tuned to the end of the review to learn how you can have a chance to make this pen your very own. The pen arrives in this very cool metal tin. Most pen boxes are disposable, but this one is one that folks tend to hold on to and repurpose. The embossed artwork is pretty cool, and it has a nice vintage vibe. It has lots of little details like the nib at the bottom of the K that are kind of cool. Inside the tin, we have a pen. This is the Kawaco AL Sport. There are several variations of the Kaweco Sport style pen made from several different materials and an abundance of color options. There's the Classic Sport, the Skyline Sport, the Ice Sport, the Frosted Sport. There's even an AC Sport, which incorporates both aluminum and carbon fiber. I think that model looks really, really cool. There are several other models and tons of color options as well. If I was to list them all, this would be a 20-minute review. But the model I have for you today, as I said, is the AL Sport, and this is the gold finish. Kaweco is a company which over the years has really had some ups and downs. It's a German company which began manufacturing back in 1883. In 1899, it was purchased by two gentlemen who renamed the company to Kaweco, which I believe is a mashup of their two last names. After World War I and the economic crisis in Germany, the company declared bankruptcy in 1929, and then it was taken over by another group and became one of the first German manufacturers to use injection molding techniques. The company ceased production in 1970, but was resurrected in 1972. It closed again in 1981, but was revived again in 1995, and has been doing well ever since, which is nice to see. As I said, this is the AL Sport with AL standing for aluminum. This material is cool to the touch. It's lightweight, but it's very durable. It is the epitome of a knockabout pen. This is a pen that will take a beating. I mentioned some of the variations of this pen earlier, but it's also available in what they call the AL Sport Stonewashed pen, which arrives with a distressed and scratched, worn look to it. Most of the pens in my collection I want to keep as pristine as possible, but this would be a pen that wouldn't bother me if it got beat up a little bit. It just adds a bit of character, in my opinion. Let's take a look at the cap. At the end of the cap, it is inlaid with the Kaweco logo. I mentioned the company name was a mashup of the two gentlemen's names who ran the company at one point, and the logo represents that. The KA was for one of the owners, the WE was for the other, and CO was for company. The end of the cap is circular, but then transitions into an octagonal design. On the side of the pen, it is laser engraved with Kaweco, AL Sport, and Germany. The end of the cap quickly transitions back into the circular design, and then there's a small step down to the circular barrel, which is straight, and then there is a small step down to the back portion of the barrel, and at the end of the barrel, it is rounded with a little indentation in the middle. I wanted to show you a couple of comparisons between the resin Skyline Sport bottle and the AL. You can see here that the Skyline doesn't have the step down at the end of the barrel. The Skyline also has a ridged edge at the end of the barrel, but I thought it was kind of cute that the AL has the same little indentation as the Skyline at the end of the barrel. For the Skyline, that indentation, I believe, is a byproduct of the injection molding. On the AL, I'm not sure if it's necessary from a production standpoint. I'm choosing to believe that they kind of included it as a nod to the plastic versions of their pens. The cap twists off with just over a single rotation, and underneath we have this rather diminutive stainless steel nib. It is stamped with the Kaweco logo and is available in extra fine, fine, medium, and broad. And here's a look at the plastic feed. I like how the Kaweco logo is highlighted here as well. The section is slightly concave and not especially long. I do find my grip spills over to the threads, but I don't find them to be sharp or uncomfortable, even though they are metal. Even though this section is metal, I don't find it particularly slippery. I can maintain a decent grip on this pen. Now, if you're just writing a quick note, for me, the barrel of the AL Sport is just long enough to comfortably use. For longer writing sessions, the cap does post, and it does post deeply and securely. With posting it so deeply, it really distributes the weight of the cap across the majority of the barrel, so posting it doesn't backweight the pen or throw off the balance at all. Plus, it's just a cool looking cap. This pen has unique lines that you don't find in many other pens. This is a cartridge converter pen. It does accept standard international cartridges, and I currently have it loaded with a cartridge here. It accepts standard international cartridges, and I will admit that the converters that fit this pen are not optimal. The performance of smaller mini converters, which will fit into this pen of this size, really are questionable at best. For this pen, I prefer to just load up a cartridge with my ink of choice. With the resin versions of the Sport, those pens are perfect to use as eyedroppers. This barrel will hold a lot of ink, which is how I use the one in my collection. But with the metal parts of the AL model, eyedropping would not be recommended. The Kawaco AL Sport retails at Pen Chalet for $80. There will be a link to their site in the notes below. For what you receive with this pen, I feel that price is warranted. It is a solid knockabout pen that performs really well, and in addition, is not one that you really need to treat with kid gloves. Okay, quick etymology lesson. The term kid gloves actually originates back to the early 1800s as a reference to gloves that were made from a young goat, a kid. Those gloves were like softer and finer than gloves made from other leather and became a symbol of elegance and kind of a way of saying that a person or an object was very dainty and fragile, and thus needed to be handled with care. Learning the origins of some of our common sayings is something that I find interesting. Okay, thanks again. Go out to the good folks at Pen Chalet for providing this pen for review and to give away to one of you. In regard to the giveaway, all you need to do is to be a subscriber to this channel, like the video, and leave a comment below. In regard to the comment topic, with this pen being a pocket pen, why don't you let me know what your favorite pocket pen is? The comment topic is just a suggestion and not a requirement. 72 hours after the posting of this video, I will randomly select a winner and reply to your comment with the instructions on how to claim your prize of this pen. So please pay attention to your YouTube notifications and comment replies. I haven't done one of these contests in a while, and one of the main reasons I stopped was because I had so many original winners who did not receive their prize because they didn't respond in time within the given time period. And I had to move on to another winner, or a second winner, or a third winner, or in some cases even a fourth winner. I had to go through great lengths to contact folks after they won. So don't let that happen to you. That's why I ended up doing things like contests through Instagram, where you can DM someone, or the contest where you had to write me a letter. That way I was guaranteed to be able to contact the winner. In the past, I've run a number of puzzle contests. Who knows? It might be time for another one of those. We'll see. Anyways, now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, and a writing sample. Here we go with some size comparisons for the Kaweco AL Sport. This is what it looks like right next to the Kaweco Skyline Sport. Then in regard to some other pocket pens, here it is with a Shown Design Pocket 6. And one of my favorite pocket pens, which actually made when I did a review a while back of my favorite pocket pens, was my #1, which is the Pilot Stella 90S, or the Stargazer. Unfortunately, those have been discontinued. So if you can find one of those, then it's well worth picking up. It's fantastic. And in regard to some other pens, here it is with a Pilot Prera, and here it is with a TWSBI Vac Mini, and then finally, here it is with a Namiki Emperor. In regard to some uncapped comparisons, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and post it, since that's the way that most people are going to use this pen. And here it is in regard to the TWSBI Vac Mini. And then here it is with a Pilot Prera. And then finally, here it is with that Shown Design Pocket 6. And I have that one posted as well. You could really see the difference. That's one of the things I really love about this Pocket 6 is it does have that #6 nib, so you can see the significant difference in the nib size from a pen that is roughly the same size and roughly some of the same dimensions. So here we go with the Kaweco AL Sport. This is a medium stainless steel nib, and the ink that I'm using today is 3 Oysters Chili Red. This is what the ink looks like. 3 Oysters makes some great inks. They have a wide variety, and this Chili Red is one of my favorites of theirs. It's somewhat similar to Iroshizuku Momiji. I'd say the Momiji is a little more pink. And then here's something a little bit more saturated, which is the Diamine Poppy Red, which again is one of my favorite reds. This is what the bottle looks like. It's a decent size, and then it has this little indentation in the corner, so you can set it like that when you are inking up the pen. Okay, here we go with the rest of the writing sample. I will say that this nib, it has a little bit of feedback to it, that the ink flow on it isn't super great. When I say super great, I mean that it's just not a gusher. That it, as you can see, it writes just fine. You're not going to get a lot of line variation out of this nib. It is rather stiff. And the ink flow is, while it's adequate, like I said, it isn't necessarily a gusher of a pen. And if you really wanted to, you could probably make an adjustment to this nib on your own if you wanted it to write a little more wet. In regard to reverse writing, it's very scratchy, and as you see, it doesn't necessarily do it that well. In regard to some fast writing, the feed keeps up just fine. So there you have the Kaweco AL Sport. I like this pen. I like Kaweco pens. I like the fact that they look different and that they just have a different vibe to them. And they're quality pens on top of that. I very much enjoy my my Skyline Sport that I have in my collection. And you can make this AL Sport join your collection as well. So don't forget to like this video and leave a comment, and appreciate Pen Chalet for providing this for one of the viewers to take home with them. So until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.